I see procrastination as an art. And this is because it's a way in which we express our emotions, our feelings, either it be lack of self-control, fear of taking action, fear of failing, whatever it be, it's a way in which we express ourselves. However, I also see procrastination as a way to snooze your life. Just one more BuzzFeed episode, one more BuzzFeed quiz, just one more Netflix episode. I'll just wait for this match to end. Just one more round, just a small power nap. I'll just go 5 more minutes on my phone, scrolling through my feed on Instagram or answering my streaks on Snapchat. These were some of the most frequent lies I told myself. And I'm sure a lot of you have told yourself these lies too. These lies made the easy things hard and the hard things even harder. However, if procrastination is an art form, then it means it has a solution. It means it can be analyzed from a psychological, from a neurological, and from an academic perspective. And that's exactly what I'll be talking about. So it's clear I wasn't the only one lying to myself. According to a research led by Pierre Steele, a psychologist from the University of Calgary, about 80 to 95% of college students procrastinate, especially when it comes to doing their coursework. Other investigations suggest that procrastination has more than quadrupled in the last 30 years. And honestly, this is quite frightening, because 30 years ago, procrastination didn't have the same impact on that generation as it has on today's, which means that if we don't stop procrastinating, we won't be able to get anything done efficiently in 30 years. But wait a second, procrastination, it's a word we hear oftenly, but do we even really know what it means? Procrastination comes from the Latin prefix procrastinus, and it belongs to tomorrow. Now, it also means putting things off habitually or intentionally. A few years ago, I fell into the treacherous waters of procrastination. And without even realizing it, I had no time to think about or to even do the things I was supposed to do or the things I wanted to do. So, Seneca, the Roman philosopher, once described the effect procrastination has on an individual. While wasting our time hesitating and procrastinating, life goes on. And this is completely true. Just think about it. When we snooze our alarms in the morning, we're not stopping time. On the contrary, we're just letting it pass by. We're practically living life without living it, waiting for something better to come along and get us out of bed in the morning. So some people say procrastination is caused when you're lazy. And I'm completely against this idea. And this is because I feel that it has more to do when you're too careless to worry about where you really want to get in life. It's when you don't have enough self-motivation and enough self-confidence to see yourself in a position where your dreams and your goals become a reality. Now, stopping yourself from procrastinating is really hard. And I know this from a personal experience. I've procrastinated on thousands of English essays, thousands of homeworks. Just last week, I was supposed to hand in a biology lab. I had the Christmas break to do. However, I chose to start doing it the day it was due, and clearly I couldn't have enough time to hand it in on time. It's so hard to stop yourself from procrastinating because it relies on something called self-control. And self-control works a lot like a muscle. When we've been to the gym for ages, we feel fit, we feel great, we feel healthy. We can run up a flight of stairs without even getting tired. However, this is how our brain feels when it tries to tackle procrastination with self-control. However, when we haven't been to the gym in a long time, and it's that first week back, we feel out of breath, we feel exhausted, we can't really go up that flight of stairs with our full potential, and that's exactly how our brain feels when it tries to tackle procrastination and it has no self-control. Now, I see procrastination as something of a vicious cycle that is caused when you have no self-control. And it's a vicious cycle where you usually tend to do things that are less demanding and are more entertaining. You may ask yourselves, why is procrastination truly so bad? If, in the end, I'm going to do what needs to get done. And the worst thing that can happen is that I'll just get a detention, right? Diane Tice, the American Physical Society Fellow, states that procrastination results in lower grades and higher stress levels. And it's scientifically proven that your mind works best when you give it time to decompress. This is known as the distributed practice effect. And basically, it means that in order to process information, our mind needs breaks so that the information can sink in and we can process it, it can break down, and basically, we will be able to memorize things to a greater ability. However, when you try to cram in that 1 month's revision of biology, history, chemistry, whatever it be, into one night before the exam, you're truly not going to be able to do your best ability because you're trying to cram in information that your brain is never going to be able to decompress and never going to be able to consolidate. And ironically enough, some people believe that when you procrastinate, you actually spend less time doing your tasks because you do them from 4 to 6 and you procrastinate from 2 to 4 instead of doing them from 2 to 6, right? However, this is completely wrong. And when you procrastinate, you actually end up doing what psychologists call overlearning. And this is when you spend time learning material that you will eventually forget because your brain didn't have the needed power and the needed resources to decompress the information. And this is caused by a variety of factors. For example, when you're stressed, when you don't have enough nutrients, when you haven't slept properly. Now, let's be honest, when you procrastinate, 11 p.m. hits us right in the face, and we don't even know at what time the afternoon passed by. And no matter how much we study the night before for the exam, if it's that first time we study for the exam, we're never going to do quite as well as we want to because our brain just isn't going to have enough resources to consolidate and to process the information. So why do we procrastinate if it's so bad? That's a question I've been asking myself for a long time. And I think that it's a strategy we all do to do things that are less annoying and more entertaining, less tedious and more fun, right? And this is known in behavioral psychology as time inconsistency. And it refers to the tendency of giving more value to the things that cause an immediate reward that perhaps is smaller than a future reward that probably is bigger. And it's clear that people have a really big gap between their intentions and their actions. So even though 95% of habitual procrastinators want to reduce the impact of procrastination on their lives, people still don't do it. And this is a clear example of how people procrastinate, stopping themselves from procrastinating. Now, people tend to blame the internet for giving birth to procrastination. However, we here all know it's not true. I have a friend who procrastinates by drawing and coloring mandalas. I have another friend who procrastinates by reading. And it's not the internet's fault. Ancient civilizations like the Greeks and the Romans left behind thousands of literary pieces and poems that show the impact procrastination had on their life. Horace, the Roman poet, once described this perfectly. He who postpones the hour of living is like the rustic who waits for the river to cross out before he crosses. Lastly, but most importantly, we should discuss the impact procrastination has on our academic life. So even though the internet allows students to escape writing frustrations with the click of a button, there's other ways to procrastinate. Basically, whenever you're doing something that gets you further away from where you want to be in life, you're procrastinating. That's simple. A really big problem with our generation is that we love to multitask. We love to believe that we can do everything at once, and in reality, end up getting nothing done. And for me, this is a really big problem because I love to multitask and I love to procrastinate. So new justifications for procrastination have come up under the name productive procrastination. And for me, this is BS because there's no productive way to watch your dreams and your visions pass by in front of your life and for you to say it's productive. Just like there's no productive way for you to watch Netflix the entire afternoon and say it's productive. So You're either doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're getting a step closer to your dreams and your visions, or you're not. Now, I can't tell you how to live your life, but based on my personal experience, I can certainly give you a few tips to reduce the impact procrastination has on yours. Now, for starters, iOS devices have released a daily and weekly report of how much time you spend on each app through something called screen time. And this way you can see how much you procrastinate in each app, in each social media, and it's actually really useful. However, this taken to an extreme are softwares and apps that block unproductive apps and apps that lead you to procrastinate. I highly discourage the use of these. And this is because procrastination requires the use and the discipline of self-control. Stopping yourself from procrastinating needs you to develop self-control, right? But when you're using these softwares and these apps, you're using the apps, not your self-control. So the day you have these apps, you won't procrastinate. But the day when you don't have these apps, you'll just go back to your procrastination routine. However, if you build on your self-control, it's a discipline that's always going to be there. And most likely, you won't procrastinate as much. So, in my opinion, the best way to procrastinate starts with yourself. It starts by seeing where you want to be in life and what you want to achieve. And Diane Tice, the author of a book called Psychology, the New Psychology of Success, states that in order for us to stop procrastinating, it is key that we break our goals and tasks into smaller things, right? Because this way we'll see them as more achievable objectives and be more inclined to work on these and thus procrastinate less. So nobody is telling you not to do the things you like to do, not to watch Netflix, not to scroll through Instagram for hours. But I want to ask you something. Are these things that you genuinely enjoy? I know I sound like my mom telling my 8-year-old brother to do his homework before he watches TV or plays video games on his iPad. But I think that if we all did our responsibilities first, we would actually have time to do things we enjoyed, things that actually create a pleasure in us. And we wouldn't watch Netflix for 5 hours and feel guilty with ourselves. To conclude, I want to ask you something that may seem a little bit radical. Every time Netflix asks you if you're still watching, I want for you all to ask yourselves if you're still there, if you're still living, or if you're just stuck in an endless cycle of fear, anxiety, and low self-confidence, where all you do is pretend to do the things you don't like to do. Thank you.